Tonight, all eyes turn skyward as Nuri, South Korea's homegrown space rocket, embarks on its fourth mission. Nuri is set to blaze a trail into orbit to claim a landmark moment in South Korea's space ambitions. Without further ado, we head over to the launch site where our Park Kanu has been following the latest. Hello there, Kanu.
Hi, Dami.
So, Kanu, how much time exactly do we have left until liftoff?
So, Dami, as the launch time has been fixed for 12:55 a.m., which is now less than 20 minutes away, people around me are showing mixed emotions from excitement to concern. And at the press briefing held earlier this evening at 8:15 p.m., the administrator of the Korea Aerospace Administration confirmed the liftoff time after the Launch Management Committee completed its review, which started at 7:30 p.m. With that final approval, expectations are rising for a successful mission.
We reviewed Nuri's technical readiness, weather, space environment, and collision risk S to ensure the next generation medium satellite 3, the main satellite, reaches its target orbit. CASA, Carey, and Hanwha Aerospace will do their utmost until the final moment to secure a successful orbital insertion.
The fueling was completed at around 11:10 p.m. while the oxidizer was uploaded after around 40 minutes later. From 12:45 a.m., 10 minutes before liftoff, the Nuri rocket will be switched to automatic launch mode. If any anomalies are detected during this phase, the launch can be halted. And all of this comes after the erection of the Nuri rocket on the launch pad was done at around 11 a.m. on Wednesday. That's when the rocket was connected to the umbilical system, which supplied fuel and oxidizer, and additional checkups to ensure no blockages or leaks were in the system. Also, a comprehensive inspection focusing mainly on the fueling system and electrical components was conducted as well. The actual loading of fuel and oxidizer started 4 hours before liftoff. Safety measures are also taking place with police and military personnel on duty near the Space Center, and multiple ships were also dispatched offshore. Security has been strengthened starting 2 hours prior to liftoff until 10 minutes later.
Now, Kanu, you've been down in Gyeonggi County, the launch site. The question is, are the conditions still okay now?
Right, so conditions are generally fine at the moment, except that it's getting colder and colder. Still, compared to Tuesday when we had strong winds and showers, they're definitely much more suitable for the launch. If you take a look at the map, Gyeonggi County and especially the Naro Space Center where I am currently, is located at the very southern part of mainland South Korea, surrounded by ocean on multiple sides. That geography means the area often experiences strong winds. So, if the average wind speed reaches 15 meters per second, or if wind gusts exceed 21 meters per second, all operations will immediately be halted, as gusts could affect how the rocket's position, which would disrupt its planned flight trajectory. So we have to hope it doesn't go beyond the limit, as the second Nuri mission had a one-day postponement due to strong winds. There are also temperature limits the vehicle must withstand, which are between -10 and 35 degrees Celsius. Fortunately, that's not a concern for this time of year in Gyeonggi, so everything seems to be all set.
That is good to hear, Kanu. Hopefully the weather continues to be okay even until the last minute. And now, Kanu, what are some of the more notable aspects of this particular mission then?
So, Tommy, first of all, this will be its first nighttime launch, providing ideal conditions for the main satellite to observe natural light displays, or what we call auroras. That's in fact why the launch is taking place at this time, as it is most suitable for the main satellite to reach an orbit for perfect aurora observation.
Right.
The mission's main satellite, along with 12 additional satellites, up from the 7 carried in the previous launch 2.5 years ago, is set to be deployed into an orbit of 600 kilometers above the Earth with an error range of about 6%. The primary measure of success will be whether the main satellite reaches its designated orbit. The estimated flight time is little over 21 minutes, exactly 21 minutes and 24 seconds, and the Korea Aerospace Administration will announce the results about an hour and 20 minutes after liftoff. And as manufacturing of this fourth vehicle was led entirely by the private company Hanwha Aerospace, this can mark a major milestone in the transfer of technology and a broader shift toward a private sector-driven launch system. And one last tip for our viewers before I go. If you're hoping to catch a glimpse of the liftoff, some of the best viewing points include the Space Observatory in Goong. It offers free admission tonight, but just limited to 200 guests. But still, there are other popular areas around in Yeosu, the city next to Goong, which can be reached by Korea's fastest trains. With nearby islands including Sado and Nangdo, Yeosu also offers some prime spots for watching the rocket soar into the night sky. And on site, more people were gathering and are still gathering at the prime viewing sites, bringing an atmosphere to life.
The last launch was amazing, so today I came right away as I heard it will be launching nearby. Regardless of age, it's such an incredible event, and it's something I really wanted to see at least once.
And the launch is also inspiring children to dream even bigger.
My dream is to become an astronomer, so when I heard about the Nuri rocket launch, I came all the way here from far away with my grandma.
So it seems it's not just us hoping for a successful mission, but countless people supporting the event. So that's all I have for you now. Back to you, Dami.
All right, Konu, thanks for the latest. So this is the fourth launch of a Nuri rocket, but the space launch vehicle is about to soar with a larger and more complex body and under private sector leadership for the very first time. We are about 20 minutes away from Nuri's blast off, more than 10 minutes. Now, to learn more about this mission tonight here in Seoul, we've invited Professor Shin Dong-hyuk from KAIST. So welcome.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening and early good morning.
Right.
And also on my right is our correspondent An Sung-jin. Welcome, Sung-jin.
My pleasure to be here, Dami.
And also joining us virtually is Mr. Park Si-soo. He is the Seoul correspondent at Space News. Good evening there.
Thanks for having me.
So, Mr. Park, skies are clear, no rain, no strong winds. Would you say the launch is ready weather-wise?
Yes, as the Kanu well stranded from the Goong, now I think the weather appears favorable for the launch. And as he said, the mission can proceed as long as temperature remain between the minus 10 degrees Celsius and the plus 35 degrees Celsius. And I think the current condition fall well within that range. So I think the launch will go as planned, I think. And wind is another key factor. The Nuri rocket is certified to launch with a ground wind of up to 15 meters per second and wind gust of up to 21 meters per second. So if wind speed exceeds that limit, all operation will immediately be put on hold, and because this strong wind can affect the rocket's planned flight trajectory. And wind condition, can change quickly. So this is something we need to pay attention to right up to the moment of liftoff.
So it's too early to be relieved, but so far, so good. Now, I asked you this because, Sung-jin, we saw the second launch of Nuri get delayed. That's why, right?
Right, so just as Mr. Park mentioned, weather conditions definitely play a key role in the launch of Nuri rocket, but especially wind would be the most critical meteorological factor. Now, as you mentioned, the second launch was actually postponed due to weather factors, but a more imminent delay was actually caused by high winds at the launch site. Now, specifically, the schedule was initially postponed by 1 day due to strong winds detected at the top of the towering Nuri rocket. Now, on the day, the rocket was to be removed from the pad for launch, but gusts reached an instantaneous wind speed of 16.7 meters per second, exceeding the operational limit. Now, that means that the issue wasn't just the wind on the ground. Now, that means that the Nuri rocket stands as tall as a 17-story apartment building, which is approximately about 48 meters. And the high winds pose a severe safety risk to personnel performing critical pre-launch work, such as attaching the umbilical cables. Now, winds at the top of the tall structure are significantly stronger than at ground level.
Now, final preparations are underway for Nuri's fourth launch. And now, Professor Shin, things are good to go on Earth, right, for now. Now, what about the weather in space? Does it matter in any way?
So actually everything matters from the ground to the space. And then when it comes to space, for example, solar wind or magnetic storm due to solar activity. And then actually, a couple of hours ago, administrator already confirmed that there is no significant solar activity. So I'm sure we are safe in space. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, good to hear from an expert
Right.
like you. Now, Mr. Bach, then what are some of the variables that we need to keep in mind other than Professor Bach just mentioned that we are just about less than 10 minutes away from the launch?
Yes, now the launch is just 9 minutes away, and then
Right.
I think that most of the launch preparations are essentially complete. And the rocket, we can see the rocket is standing on the launch pad with the fuel already loaded, and the 13 satellites aboard the rocket are also filled as well. And I think the multiple health checkup has already been conducted on the vehicle throughout the day, and now it's going on also. And a few minutes ago, I saw that the rocket's erection tower, the structure that supports the vehicle while it's vertical on the pad, was pulled back. That's strong signal that the liftoff is imminent. And once the tower is retracted, the rocket is essentially standing on its own. And now it's just 9 minutes away. And at T-minus 10 minutes, the control of the launch sequence switched from manual command to the automated system in a phase known as a pre-launch operation.
Right.
During this automated period, the computer handled the final critical task, including the conducting last-minute checks of onboard system, verifying fuel and pressure level, activating the guidance and flight computers, and confirming that all conditions meet launch criteria, and also executing the precise sequence leading to engine ignition. This automated phase is essential because the final countdown required extremely precise, time-sensitive action better handled by computer system than by manual command. And at T-minus 1 minute or possibly T-minus 30 seconds, depending on the mission, the final countdown begins and the rocket will lift off.
Right. Well, I do have to mention, as we can see through the footages, it's pitch dark out there. It is the first time a Nuri launches are taking place during the nighttime. Now, Professor Shin, what were the most important considerations when changing the launch time window, between originally 12:54 a.m. and 1:14 a.m. Now it's eventually at 12:55 p.m. a.m.
Yes, so I think it's kind of one big change between the third and then the fourth launch.
Okay.
So from the beginning, it was launched at 4 p.m. And then that's for the convenience of the rocket operators. So that's a good time for rocket operators.
Right.
And then in terms of the customer, which is a satellite, they don't have really choice.
They
Now,
don't.
yeah, at that time, yeah. So now we are getting more confident. So we are getting confident we can launch at any time. So that we are, now the time is set by the customer.
So it's a bold move.
Yeah, it's a bold move. And then the main customer is the next generation, Satellite 3. And then they want specific time, which is mid time, around this time. So,
Right.
so they require this specific time to effectively observe aurora when the sun is not there.
Right.
So that's why, the rocket operator, they accept that. And then this is also one moment, so we are getting more confident.
Right. It shows the confidence
Yeah.
that South Korea is able to manage this launch
Yeah.
during the nighttime. Now, Songjin, how many satellites is Nuri carrying this time?
Right, so during the third Nuri rocket launch, a total of 7 satellites were carried. For this launch, the Nuri rocket is scheduled to carry a total of 13 satellites, including the main payload, which is the next generation medium satellite 3, and 12 CubeSats, which will be further discussed during our discussion. Another notable change that I do want to mention is the upsizing of the main satellite. Now, the target orbital altitude has also been raised from 550 kilometers to 600 kilometers, and the next generation medium satellite 3, which is being deployed this time, weighs over 500 kilograms. Now, this means that the total payload mass has more than doubled compared to previous launches, reaching 1,040 kilograms. So I feel like that's something notable for the fourth launch this time.
All right, so 13 satellites. And now we are just hearing the delay. There's been a delay in the fourth launch. The launch will be taking place at 1:13 a.m. Instead of 12:55 a.m. over testing issues we are hearing. Now, Mr. Bach, was this unexpected? What do you think?
Yeah, this kind of a delay is always something that happen always in the space sector. And yeah, let me confirm that. Is it delayed to the 1 a.m. 13?
1:13 a.m.
1:13?
Right.
Okay,
So,
now so
yeah,
delayed by about the
18 minutes.
yeah, 18 minutes maybe. And yeah, it's quite common in this space launch event.
Well, Professor Shin, should we be worried?
Actually, I'm a little bit worried at the moment.
No.
Yeah, yes, because of small time window. Because currently the time window is set between the 54 to 14,
Right.
and then right now it's a 13, which is the kind of last very marginal. And then so for example, last launch, I mean two launches ago, it's been delayed by 1 hour.
Right.
And then it's been okay. But if it happen again, 1 hour delay, actually we have to, delay 1 day. So only
not tonight.
not tonight.
So it's whether at 1:13 a.m. tonight or
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, well, for those of us just joining us, we are covering a live of our special coverage on Nuri's fourth launch taking place down in Gyeonggi County. We have learned that the launch will take place at 1:13 a.m. Now, Seongjin, I'd like to turn to you again. This is the first time the launch is taking during the nighttime. That has never happened before, right?
Right. It is also most notable difference compared to other launches. So the time a rocket launches is not arbitrary, and it's most likely determined by several critical factors like we're just experiencing. There are unknown variables that may change the time.
Right.
But primarily this time, it mostly requires a mission requirements. It's mostly based on mission requirements of the main satellite and the safety and logistical constraints of the launch site, though I'm sure our experts could elaborate more further moving on. But instead, as Mr. Park has mentioned, there are some other variables that may play a role as well. And as Professor Shin has just went over, during the first launch, it was at 5 p.m. The second launch was at 4 p.m. The third launch was at 6:24 p.m. And today's fourth launch was originally obviously set for 12:55, but we have just seen a delay. So whether, Nuri rocket, the fourth launch, will actually see its launch past midnight or past even 1 a.m. is something to watch out for.
Definitely. Well, Mr. Bach, in the third launch, the main payload was a small satellite weighing about 180 kilograms, but the launch this time will lofty medium-sized satellite more than 3 times as heavy. How is Nuri be able to manage this?
Yeah, because Nuri was basically the version of a Nuri rocket that is going to be used today can deliver up to 1.9 ton to orbit. That means that still, so combined weight of the 13 satellite is about around 1 ton. So that means that still the rocket has room to carry roughly another ton of a payload. So that's why there's no problem with carrying the satellite that is now on board the rocket. Because the primary payload, the CAS 503 is 516 kilogram, and the other, and in total, and including the satellite, and the combined weight of the all 13 satellites aboard the rocket is just 960 kilogram. And then, as I mentioned, this so still there is one more and way more room that the rocket can carry to the space, so no problem with it.
Right. Well, as our An Sung-ji mentioned, the Nuri rocket this time is 47.2 meters in height, and it also weighs 200 tons in total. Professor Shin, isn't that really heavy?
Yes, so typically the ratio between the rocket and then to the payload is around 2%.
2%.
Yeah, so that's why it's around 200 tons. And actually, the actual capacity of rocket is around 1.5 tons. So actually, it's a quite fairly standard ratio across the every different rocket. Yeah.
So it's 200 tons heavy, but I've learned that 180 tons is actually fuel and oxidizer, right? Is that correct?
Yes, so almost all of them are fuel and oxidizer. Yeah. So that's another. The main thing, special thing about Nuri, the rest of things is very thin. So you may heard that the thickness of the tank is almost same as the coin.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
That thin?
Yeah, that thin.
Oh, wow.
To hold all the fuel and oxidizer.
Still strong enough to hold it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sung-jin, this night launch centers on the mission, I do have to mention, of the next generation medium-sized satellite number 3. What is the satellite's primary objective?
Right, we've kind of lured into the primary objective of satellite as we were talking about why it's being launched at, past midnight or at this time. Now, it's because the core objective of the satellite is to conduct scientific research aimed at elucidating the mechanism of the space environment above Earth. Now, what this does mean, in easy words, is that it is equipped with 3 main observation instruments, most notably the aura and air glow observation, which will study changes in the space environment in high latitude regions by observing faint auras and air glow.
Right, we have just learned that the final preparations for a 4th Nuri launch is ready after the announcement that the launch, which was originally scheduled at 12:55 a.m., was delayed due to a sensor issue. It will now take place at 1:13 a.m. Sung-jin, do pick us up on where you left us.
Right, so I was talking about how this equipment that is on the satellite is basically notably known for the aurora and air glow observation, which obviously will change the study, the change of the space environment. But apart from this, I do want to mention how the main satellite will also conduct an experiment involving the 3D printing and culturing of stem cells in the space environment, which will boost the fields of regenerative medicine and new drug development. Now, other microsatellites I do want to mention is that there are some that are developed by universities and companies that will perform various tasks, such as monitoring marine debris and conducting other space experiments, showcasing the diversity of our space industry ecosystem.
Perfect. Well, Professor Shin, I'd like to turn to you. So we have just heard the announcement that the delay was due to sensor issue. What kind of sensor issue do you expect?
It is quite similar to the second launch, right?
No.
So there's a sensor height. The sensor which know the height of the oxidizer, and because we are filling the oxidizer, and we need to know how much it's been filled. So if it's filled too low, it's not good, and if it filled too much, it increases weight. So we need to fill to the optimized size, and then I believe it caused 1 day delay at the time.
1 day.
Yeah. So. But they have so many sensors because they need to know everything about the rocket, so even how the fuel and oxidizer, and then they have a 3 stage, so that each stage has a fuel and oxidizer separately. So there are so many sensors, and then I'm getting more concerned. But another thing is that they always have some spare item. So if it's easy to replace, then it can be relaunched.
So we do have a backup.
Yeah, we do have backup, but I'm getting worried that it may not be launched today. But another thing is that we have so many sensors. So for example, we need to measure the height of the oxidizer, and then there can be another way to measure it. So so either they can go without knowing the sensor information. That's another possibility.
Okay.
So because there's just a different way to figure it out.
So concerns are lingering, even though they are ready for the 4th launch. Now, Mr. Bach, Professor Shin is still concerned. Are you worried as much as he is?
Yes, I think I agree with it that there is so many sensors that so first now we need to difficult to find out which sensor and which part of the rocket is sending the kind of an unexpected signal. So this is something we cannot confirm for now, but normally as I said, this kind of delay is quite normal, but given that the launch window open today is till the 114, and then now it's delayed to the 113, and it's a single very small trivial mistake or the wrong signal can push the launch back further. That means that we can delay the launch to the tomorrow, someday after. So yeah, I think that we need to pay attention to what's happening afterward.
So our last call for the day would be 1:13 a.m. Otherwise, it will be at least 1 day delay, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Professor Shin, on top of the main payload, the mission is set to deploy 12 CubeSats built by research teams at KAIST, where you're working, and Seoul National University, the Electronics and Communications Research Institute, and also private space startups. What are these CubeSats?
So actually, this is another good thing about first launch. So we have many CubeSats, and then it kind of create the ecosystem on satellite. Because last time I remember it was 4 CubeSats, and then we are tripling this time. So we have a more. I mean, each company has to have a legacy. So they need to have experience to operate the satellite in the space for 1 year. So there will be in the end they need to make a profit, and then the buyer will have to rely on the legacy, how much time you operate in the space. So I think this chance will add the credibility to those companies as well as the university as well. So there are 4 university satellites, and then 2 research lab satellites, and then 6 company satellites. So one is from KAIST. So it's called the K-Hero.
K-Hero.
So actually, I really like how they name it. So actually, this is developed by Professor Won-ho Choi. Yeah, and then he is very specialized in the electric thruster. So typically, there are 2 kinds of thruster. One is a chemical rocket, and then it's an electric thruster. So the power comes from chemical rocket, but the efficiency comes from electrical rocket. Yeah.
Right, we are now 10 minutes away from the launch. This is where Nuri enters automatic launch operations known as pre-launch operation. Now, any abnormality is detected, the launch will be aborted automatically. Mr. Bach, is this a good sign?
Yeah, absolutely good sign. And so I think for now it's going smoothly, and it was still it remains to be seen how things unfold. But yeah, I hope that it will launch tonight.
I hope so too. Now, Sung-jin, back here in the studio. Now, what's notable about this project is that it's being carried out jointly with Hanwha Aerospace, with the private firm handling the entire assembly process, isn't it?
Right, so unlike previous launches where mostly it was led by the government, this 4th Nuri launch is the first to be prepared as a public-private joint mission, with the private sector taking the lead and the government providing support. Now, the process of transferring technology to the private sector was, I wouldn't say entirely smooth. The Korea Aerospace Research Institute, which had spearheaded the Nuri launches up to this point, and Hanwha Aerospace, the private company that we've been talking about, faced difficulties due to differences in opinion regarding the valuation of the launch technology and the scope of the transfer. Now, ultimately, following 3 years of negotiations, the technology transfer contract was signed in July this year, so fairly fresh, officially commencing the transition to a private sector launch system. And now, since then, obviously, the Hanwha Aerospace research team, consisting of around 30 personnel, have accelerated the launch procedures, including the final vehicle inspection, transportation, and safety management.
Right, we are just learning that Nuri has entered automatic launch operations, known as a pre-launch operation, and that seems to be going well. Mr. Bach, then I'd like to turn to you. Why Hanwha? I mean, why does Hanwha have the technologies to manage such a huge project? Is it confident?
Yes, let me briefly explain how the Hanwha Aerospace has joined this project as a rocket manufacturer.
Please do.
Actually, Hanwha Aerospace was selected in 2022 to receive rocket technology, particularly those used in the Nuri rocket from the state-funded Korea Aerospace Research Institute. This transition was part of a broader government initiative to transfer national space technologies to the private sector. The Korean government launched its public-to-private transfer program back in 2021, beginning with the satellite technologies, and the following year, the scope extended to include the liquid fuel rocket technology. At the time of the selection, Hanwha Aerospace already possessed technology for developing small solid fuel and a liquid fuel launch vehicle, but it lacked the capability required for a larger liquid fuel rocket like Nuri rocket. The competition for the technology transfer came down to two major aerospace companies at the time, the Hanwha Aero and the Korea aerospace industry. And looking back, I remember the Hanwha was demonstrated very strong enthusiasm and commitment to this project, and I think which he helped position the company favorably and ultimately secured the deal. So there was a quite one-on-one competition back that time, and for any reason, the Hanwha win the deal.
Then our viewers might be wondering, Professor Shin, why is a private firm's participation in the Nuri launch so crucial, even necessary in this so-called new space era?
So far, many of the previous space exploration was focused on scientific findings. And then now it's time to make a profit. And then in order to make a profit, company is better at those. So also, there is one obvious example of SpaceX, and then they are making tens of billions of dollars every year. So it's a time to shift to that direction.
So we've turned to a private firm that is actually good at making profits,
Yes,
right? Now that we are equipped with advanced technologies. Now, Sung-jin, then what is Hanwha Aerospace exactly in charge of?
Right, so both of our experts kind of went over the reason behind the division, but to go in a little bit more in depth to what Hanwha Aerospace, this private company, is doing, is that this private company took the lead in the entire production process, including manufacturing the launch vehicle, final assembly, and managing the participating component suppliers. Now, on the other hand, if we take a look at what the Korea Aerospace Research Institute has been doing, it has been overseeing the manufacturing and assembly of the Nuri rocket while ensuring the smooth transfer of technology. So we kind of see this collaboration between the public and the private sector for this launch.
Right, we are exactly 5 minutes away from the launch, which is set at 1:13 a.m. because of sensor issues. It has been delayed for about 18 minutes, but it is good to go to be lifted off at 1:13 a.m. Korea Standard Time. Mr. Bog, now with the growing role of a private firm in this launch, have there been changes in the technological quality control or even risk management?
I think this is a question that I need someone else need to answer, because this is quality control. This is not something I know of.
That's okay. Now, Professor Ba, Mr. Ba, I'd like to turn to you for past Nuri launches. There have been some technical issues like we are experiencing at the moment, a sensor issue. For tonight's launch, then, what risks are you most worried about, and how are we preparing for the worst case scenario? Or have we already gone through the worst case scenario?
This is not the worst case scenario. This is a common situation always that can happen always. And regarding the past failed flight, there were a technical glitch during the Nuri's inaugural flight back in October 2021, which prevented the rocket from placing its payload into the intended orbit. After the failed flight, the engineer analyzed and collected the data and found that the cause was improperly secured helium tanks inside the rocket's upper stage. Now the problem was fixed, and the South Korea has carried out 2 consecutive successful flights, but this does not guarantee today's mission will be successful for sure. And the problem can emerge at any stage of this launch. And the failure is always we need to accept that any kind of failure, because there's a term, space is hard. Space launch is also very complicated and hard work, and so we need to always open to these failures. So anyway, the rocket could face problem while the rocket could face problem while ascending or deployment of a payload. This this is always happens. So it's very important to remain vigilant and keep our guard up until the mission is fully completed. And so, yeah.
Thanks for the comfort. Now, we are about 2 minutes away from Nuri's fourth launch. Professor Shin, what's the atmosphere like, do you think, is like at the launch site at the moment?
So I feel must be cold.
Oh.
So yeah, and then each night, and then I think people must be worried because of their sensor issue, but at the same time, the issue seems to be resolved. And then actually for myself, I feel quite confident it will get successful because last two previous launch was good. So
Right.
and then I'm getting confidence, yeah.
Well, Sung-jin, as we are seeing the fourth launch is drawing a lot of attention here in the country, how interested are people of South Korea in tonight's launch?
Right, we kind of got a glimpse through our reporter down at Goheung-gun County. We are seeing much excitement from the Korean people. We've seen that citizens have gathered at the Space Launch Observatory in the area. Now, despite the cold, visitors had gathered early on, setting up their tripod to catch such a rare moment. Nearby beaches obviously don't see a large crowd due to the cold, but people have flocked to secure the best viewing spot for such a major national endeavor.
Definitely. Then what security measures are in place at the moment? We are now 1 minute away from the launch. Briefly, what are some security measures in place?
Right, so to go over a couple of the security measures that have been put in place. Now, the Korea Aerospace Administration includes 12 other related agencies, including the National Fire Agency, which will be stationed specifically responsible for any fire prevention activities before and after launch, as well as managing emergency rescue responses, such as fire suppression in any case of an incident.
We are now 30 seconds away from Nuri's fourth launch. Now, all eyes turn skyward as Nuri, that is, South Korea's homegrown space rocket, embarking on its fourth mission. Nuri is set to blaze a trail into orbit to claim really a landmark moment in South Korea's space ambitions. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine ignition. Now liftoff. There goes the fourth Nuri space rocket heading to space yet again. The Nuri SLV is soaring up into the sky with a strong roar and such powerful flames. Nuri is breaking through the atmosphere as we are seeing on the screen. We are now just about 30 seconds into the launch. The 200-ton heavy space launch vehicle is really pushing itself to reach space. Professor Shin, just by looking at the launch, does everything look okay?
Yeah, to me it looks very good.
Yeah? Mr. Bak, what's your take on the launch?
Yes, it's looking good as well because the color of flame from the first engine is quite normal. It's quite bright yellow. It indicates the fact that it's burning. Ignition is very good, and we'll see the first stage separation about the 125 seconds after liftoff, and it is just 2 minutes away, just 1.5 minutes away, I think now, and we will see a fairing separation. It will take place about the 234 seconds after liftoff, and I'm not sure it will be visible from this camera, but anyway, it will happen soon as well. And then after that, we will see a second stage separation,
Definitely.
which will set to take place 272 seconds after liftoff, and then the deployment of satellite will begin.
Definitely. Well, as you were speaking, Mr. Bak, we have learned that Nuri passed maximum dynamic pressure, which is one of the many hurdles that Nuri has to go. Now, Sung-jin, how long did it take for us to learn about the success of the third Nuri launch?
Right, it's good to hear from our experts that we are seeing some positive remarks of the launch itself, but generally the rocket's flight itself concludes within approximately 20 minutes.
Right, Sung-jin, we are just learning the first stage separation has been confirmed. Professor Shin, is that a good sign?
Yeah. It's on time, yeah.
It is on time. Good to go. Sung-jin, do pick us on of where you left off.
Right, so for the third launch, it took us about an hour and 20 minutes to confirm its success. And to be a bit more precise, the first survival signal from the main payload, the next generation small satellite 2, was received at the King's Haejong station in Antarctica approximately 43 minutes after the launch. The 1 hour and 20 minutes frame was how long it took for the ground stations to analyze the flight data, receive the survival signal from the satellite, and officially confirm and announce the success after Nuri completed its mission of entering the target orbit and separating the satellite.
Well, Mr. Bach, it's been about, in fact, let me turn to Professor Shen. Nuri's flight is about more than 3 minutes after liftoff. Now, we should expect fairing separation to begin, right?
Yeah, happening soon in 1 minute. Yeah.
What's the fairing separation process like?
So basically, it protects the payload because on the ground there is a lot of air, so that it can experience heavy wind by the liftoff. But up in the space there is no wind, so that there is no need to protect the wind. But it adds additional weight, so it's better to take it out. Yeah.
So fairing separation has begun. It looks like. So we have learned that flight nominal and Nuri has just passed 200 kilometers of altitude, and fairing separation has been confirmed, as Professor Shin has just told us. Now, Songjin, it's been about, we are nearing 4 minutes and 30 seconds since the launch. Now, at this stage, where is Nuri? Can we say the second stage of separation has begun?
Right, so I would be a little bit more precise with the time frame. I'd say that 4 minutes and 32 seconds are about passing. And the time frame that we just talked about is the most critical stage in the rocket's flight profile. Now, the sequence of Nuri involves two parts. The separation of the second stage, which is then immediately followed by the ignition of the third stage.
Right, we have just learned the second stage engine shutdown has been confirmed, as long as the second stage of separation has been confirmed. Professor Shin, now what stage would you say will be the most critical moment for Nuri?
So I think it's past all the difficult part. Of course, from the first launch, there's some problem with the third stage engine, but actually it's been fixed, and then I don't think it will cause any more problems. So I'm getting more confident about successful launch.
That is a relief.
Yeah.
Now we have learned that flight nominal, it has passed 300 kilometers of altitude. That is also, how far are we at nearing the space, would you say?
So actually, typical space we define as 100 kilometers. So it's well above the Kármán line. So definitely it's in space. But again, the goal is 600 kilometers. So we have to wait until then.
So halfway there, would you say?
Yeah, it's 600 kilometers is the target, so halfway.
All right, we are halfway there. Mr. Ba, which stage would you say will be the most crucial moment for Nuri?
I think that now it looks going well, because the everything is happening as planned. Like the first stage separation, fairing separation, and second stage separation, and I think everything going as planned and as scheduled, and so I think it's very likely that this today's launch could be successful, and it's still remain to be seen, because of the single most important issue that we need to keep monitoring is deployment of a satellite is still minutes away. So
We are.
it remains to be seen.
Well, Nuri is currently trying to pass 500 kilometers altitude. Now, Songjin, what are then Hanwha and Kari prioritizing the most during this launch?
Right, both obviously have that overarching priority of maximizing the reliability and trust of this mission. Now, Hanwha's priority is demonstrating its operational readiness and technical competence to take over the Nuri program. The primary goal would be more or less the operational transfer success to successfully execute the responsibilities taken over from Kari. which includes leading the manufacturing, overall assembly, and supply chain management for the Nuri launch force. This launch is the ultimate validation of the 3-year technology transfer process. And obviously, KARI has its own priorities, which it would be ensuring the mission's scientific success and validating the rocket's enhanced performance, with its primary goal successfully placing all 13 satellites.
We are learning that Nuri has successfully passed 500 kilometers altitude. Now, Mr. Bach, would you say this is the moment where researchers are now relieved, or can they take a break from now, or still not there yet?
Yeah, perhaps the team will only breathe a sigh of relief once the final payload is successfully deployed.
Right.
Because, as I mentioned earlier, the problem can emerge at any stage of the launch. For example, in the first launch of the Nuri that we see a problem in the upper stage of the rocket, and it was absolutely something unexpected. So,
Right.
as once again, the problem can emerge at any stage of the rocket, because it's now the rocket itself is going through the very tough environment like a space, very cold and very strong vibration, and also there's also many other uncertainty up there. So. It's important to remain vigilant and until the mission is fully completed. But I think still this is going well, and I think it could be very likely that the mission could be successful.
I see. Flight nominal, Nuri has passed 500 kilometers altitude. Does that mean we are just about 100 kilometers away?
Yeah. So it'll be easier than from the ground to the 100, because the gravitational force at higher altitude will be lower. I mean, it's not zero, but it's lower. So that moving from 500 to 600 kilometers will be a little bit easier. But still, we have to accelerate in terms of speed, because the first launch, they reached the target altitude, but the speed didn't reach the target speed. So that's why in the end, it fall down to the south hemisphere. So I think the people will be watching at speed, especially at this moment.
Well, now that we are close to passing the 600 kilometer altitude mark, Mr. Bach, does that mean there will be no sensor issue that we experienced earlier?
Yeah. I think it's a sensor issue because the delay of the launch was, I think, is something not so serious.
I see.
Now, yeah, because of the liftoff it was conducted as a schedule, in the delayed time, but still it's going on. And you said it's a launch reached the altitude of 600 kilometer?
Oh, it hasn't passed the 600 kilometer altitude mark yet.
Oh, that means now maybe the third stage of the rocket is now start orbiting the Earth, and they were waiting for the right time for its satellite deployment, because the target altitude for today's mission is 600, and that means if as you said, if the rocket reach that target altitude, that means it will stop ascending because it's already reached the target altitude. That means it will start orbiting the Earth and then waiting for the right time for its satellite deployment.
Then what happens next, Professor Shin, after the orbital insertion has been confirmed? What happens next then?
So they will dispatch the next generation medium satellite 3 first, and then the other small CubeSat sequentially.
Right, so we are talking about the next generation medium class satellite 3, and that is the main objective, Seongjin, right?
Right, so the core objective that we've just talked about for the satellite is used for aurora observation, obviously. That's why we are launching this rocket at this time phase. And obviously both experts have kind of mentioned why the importance, why it is so important to be working on the success of this launch.
Right, exactly. Now, then, Professor Shin, I'd like to turn to you. What are key factors that give Nuri a competitive advantage in the global small satellite launch market?
So far, Nuri we are the 7th country which has this rocket capability. And then actually globally there is a lot of demand from the satellite. And then if you want to put the satellite in orbit, you may have to wait for 1 year.
Ah.
So of course, SpaceX, they launch 100 times per year, but still there is a lot of long queue. And then there can be a niche market when you are in very hurry, then we have to use the Nuri for that perspective.
I see. We are just learning that third stage engine shutdown has been confirmed and orbital insertion has been confirmed. Mr. Bach, is this a good sign? You tell us.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a good sign, and it's very. I think so far it's very successful, and now as you said, the third stage of the rocket is now orbiting the Earth, and the first deployment of a satellite, the CAS 503, is slated for 807 seconds after liftoff, and still some minutes away. But I think it's at this stage I think it's very likely that the deployment could be successful, and then still that there's some uncertainty, like some kind of a failure in deploying some
Right.
of the satellite. It could be possible, but so far is very successful, and what we need to pay attention to now is the deployment of the first satellite deployment.
Well, Mr. Bang, I do have to tell you the next generation medium class satellite 3 separation has been confirmed, and CubeSat number 1 is being separated. So this is a very good sign, right?
Oh yeah. It's absolutely successful, and so that means we have three. How many satellites were deployed so far?
So far, CubeSat 3 and number 4 separation has been confirmed.
Four, and so that means that there's eight, maybe
Eight.
eight satellites were left.
Exactly.
And yes, I think it's a matter of time to see all these remaining satellites will be deployed successfully. I think today's mission is quite successful.
Well, CubeSat number 3 and number 6 have been separated successfully.
Yeah, each deployment is just 20 seconds away, and each deployment, that means that we will soon be able to confirm that all the deployment was successful or not.
We are learning CubeSat number 3 and 7 separation has been confirmed. Professor Shin, how long is this taking? I feel like it's taking very quickly.
Yeah, so the plan is every 20 seconds they dispatch the one CubeSat. So yeah, we have total 12 satellites, 12 CubeSats.
12 CubeSats.
So 240 seconds, which is 40 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
40 minutes, right?
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes.
Right,
yeah.
because 2 satellites are being placed into orbit at 20-second intervals, right? Now, so all 12 CubeSats separation has been confirmed. Can we call this a success?
So far, yes. I would like to say, of course, there should be an official announcement for that, but looking at the record, it seems to be a good success.
How much more time do we have to wait to hear the official claim of the success of fourth launch?
So as previous launch, it took 1 hour and 20 minutes because actually we need to receive the information from the ground station.
Right.
So, and then in the low Earth orbit, it takes 90 minutes to rotate. So of course, there is just some additional ground station on the South Pole. So if they receive additional telemetry from the South Pole, there can be a confirmation.
Well, given that the entire process takes place smoothly, so far so good, Mr. Bach, it should take 21 minutes and 24 seconds, right? Now, what happens next then?
Maybe we will soon be able to confirm that if any ground station on the received signal from the exchange signal with the deployed satellite, and then probably the space agency will declare the success of today's mission after confirming all the deployed satellite exchange signal with the ground station. So it will take some time, but yeah, as Mr. Professor said, we have some ground station designated for signal exchange with the satellite. So we will soon be able to confirm that if there is any satellite that has successfully exchanged a signal with the ground station. So it will
Right.
take time.
Well, it's been over 17 minutes since the launch of the fourth Nuri space rocket. Now, Mr. Bak just mentioned that we might have to wait one more hour to, really hear the official success from the researchers and authorities. But Professor Shin, what happens to the remaining third stage rocket then?
Actually, it will stay there. So basically, all the next generation satellite plus 12 CubeSat, and then the third stage engine are orbiting the same orbit. So it will be there, but it will be there for almost next to 25 years.
25 years?
Yes, almost there.
What happens after 25 years then?
Actually, it will slowly decrease the altitude and then coming to the Earth. And then it will burn down at the atmosphere.
So it'll vanish.
Yeah, vanish, yeah.
I see. Well,
Yeah.
Sung-jin, not just South Korean people are paying so much attention to the fourth launch, even though it is already the fourth launch. How are foreign media outlets or space industries overseas reacting to Nuri's launch?
Right. I do want to say that they've been reacting by focusing heavily on the mission's strategic significance rather than just the technical aspects of the rocket itself. Now, both experts have been talking about the significance of the mission, and I guess foreign media highlights that this launch marks obviously the first time a private entity, Hanwha Aerospace, leading the manufacturing and assembly process.
Right, so we have just learned Nuri's launch now has been complete, but we do have to wait one more hour, right? We just saw footages of researchers at the Naro Space Center. Now, they seem quite relieved and happy, don't they, Professor Shin?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So kind of, they also do some expression, like throwing the paper in the air. So that
One of those
also,
scenes that you
yes,
see in movies or dramas, right?
Yeah, I like to see those again, yeah.
Well, then, Mr. Bog, then now that we are waiting for the official confirmation of the success of fourth at Nuri launch, what is Nuri left with, really, in the space?
Nuri is absolutely one our sovereign rocket itself. Itself is a very meaningful for South Korea, and at this time, we as we mentioned repeatedly, it is meaningful because it's the first Nuri rocket manufactured by the private company. That's another point we need to take note of. And yeah, it is very for South Korea, Nuri rocket is very variable. Now it's very variable space asset, but still there's something that need to be improved. For example, I'd like to emphasize that it's economic competitiveness because as Mr. Shin said, the Nuri rocket now is demonstrated its performance once again with a successful launch, at least so far, the successful launch of today's marked the third consecutive successful flight of Nuri rocket, but still is not. But doesn't guarantee its economic competitiveness because Nuri was basically developed for research and development purposes without consideration of a commercial use cases. That's I think that this the biggest weakness of Nuri rocket. Nuri was built with homegrown technology. That is the strength, and now, as I said, it's successfully flown 3 consecutive times, and that is another great achievement for sure. But still, it's still like behind the world leading launch vehicle in terms of economic competitiveness. Simply put out to say, Nuri is too expensive. Its per kilogram per launch cost is estimated about $24,000 US. To put and the per kilogram launch cost is $24,000 US. And while SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, which is widely considered the most cost-competitive rocket in the world, is around 6,000 US dollars. So there's a huge gap between the two price tags. So,
Yeah.
and also there's other global rocket companies that are also working to bring their cost down to the SpaceX level of 6,000. But the competition in this field is very intense, and there's lots of companies are working to reduce cost down their launch cost to not to the SpaceX level, because it is to have a better position in this in the launch market. So I would like to say today's successful fight should certainly be celebrated, but South Korea still has a long way to go. And I mean, to make the Korea's launch sector more competitive and more stronger, Korea need to develop a more capable and more economically viable rocket, building on the experience and lesson and technology gained from the Nuri program.
That is a very good point, that there is a huge room for South Korea's Nuri to, tackle and overcome to make it not only successful but also profitable, like Professor Shin said, right? Now, Songjin, then walk us through, how do you see the fourth launch of a Nuri rocket representing a strategic turning point for South Korea's space industry?
Right, I do want to elaborate on what Mr. Park has just gone over. Apparently, in the research sector, we obviously see the Lee Jae-myung administration already announcing plans to invest in aerospace research by building capabilities for independent space development. Now, obviously, that being said, the leading player in the field, as Professor Shin had earlier mentioned, in rocket technology is the United States SpaceX, and SpaceX is currently launching rockets at a rate of approximately once every 3 days. China is also making massive investments, having launched rockets over 70 times this year alone. Obviously, compared to these nations, South Korea may be seeming like it's taking small baby steps, as the latest launch happened after nearly 3 years, and the cumulative number of launches is still small. But the number of countries that have developed and launched a rocket with its own domestic capability is limited. And based on this ability, South Korea would take place as the 7th country in the world to develop its own space launch vehicle.
So you are watching our special coverage of Nuri's fourth launch, Nuri, South Korea's homegrown space rocket. Now, Nuri's flight has now ended after 21 minutes and 24 seconds after its liftoff at 1:13 a.m. However, it is still in the process of launching all the carrier satellites and achieving its ultimate goal of successfully entering orbit, as well as establishing communication with the ground. Now, Songjin, this is the fourth Nuri launch, but the mission is still on. What do we know about future upcoming Nuri launches?
Right, so Nuri has its 5th and 6th launches scheduled once a year for the upcoming years until 2027. And what I can say about these launches is that all launches from the 1st through the 6th will use the same launch vehicle configuration. Now, what this entails is that launching the same vehicle 6 times is to create and increase the reliability of the Nuri rocket system. Now, the reason this becomes important moving forward is because reliability is synonymous with the probability of a successful launch. To ensure a seamless supply of Nuri rockets, the assembly and testing processes will be conducted in a highly integrated manner. Now, additionally, preparation for the satellites to be placed abroad on the 5th launch are also proceeding smoothly, from the main payloads to the secondary payloads. And as discussed earlier by both experts here, the 5th launch is expected to play a crucial role in expanding into the domestic and international market for both research and commercial purposes.
Indeed, we've come a long way, but still a long way ahead of us, right? Then looking ahead, Professor Shin, what technical or operational changes should we plan for Nuri and for its upcoming launches in the near future or in the long future?
So right now, at the 5th and the 6th launch, will not be any change except more participation from HANA. So in the long term, actually there is a lot of room to improvement. So one thing is, right now this rocket is designed for low Earth orbit. And then there is a geostationary orbit, which is quite far away. And then for that, the engine has to ignite one more time. So right now, engine ignite once and then does not ignite twice. So in order to go to this geosynchronous orbit, we need to ignite twice. That's another capability. And then another one we have to do is more powerful. And then also when we are aiming for the reusability, we have to add a throttling capability, which we can control the performance itself when the rocket is coming to the ground.
I see. Then, Mr. Bong, how do you see the long-term direction of South Korea's space launch vehicle business from a private space industry perspective?
As I said, so far, frankly speaking, the Nuri rocket has not competitive enough because of the high cost of launch cost. So as Professor Shin said, that we need to have another more advanced next generation launch vehicle, which should be more capable and more cost competitive compared with the Nuri rocket. And so now the work is begun. And recently, the National Space Council, the top decision-making body of the on space issue of South Korea, has recently approved the development of the next generation rocket, which could be a reusable functionality, but its target, as far as I know, is the Korean government aim to complete the development of the next generation rocket by the 2030 and put them operational by the 2032. But that's quite a tough target because 2030 means that just 5 years away. But considering that the time it took for example, in the rocket company in the U.S. And the time it took to develop the reusable rocket it takes more than that. So I think the aim is high, but we need to check the reality and if it's feasible or not. But for now, the good thing is that South Korea is now very enthusiastic about developing a reusable rocket, which is more capable and more cost competitive compared with the Nuri. But yeah, anyway, the direction itself is very positive. But yeah, reality could be a little bit tougher than expected.
All right, Mr. Bong, it's been a pleasure to cover such an interesting topic with you and this huge milestone in South Korea's space industry. Thank you for connecting with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. And once again, in today's successful launch, it should be celebrated for sure. And I hope that this will be a great stepping stone and also a very positive impact on the Korea's journey to the space.
Indeed. Well, before I let you go, Professor Shin, last but not least, why do ordinary people like myself and my colleague Sung Jin, not scientists, should care about this huge project? I mean, why does it matter to us?
So actually, it will not have a direct impact on ordinary people. But in the future, if the Hana or other private company is very successful, it will make a profit, and then actually it will create more jobs. So it will be one thing. And then another perspective is education. So actually, same apply to the USA. So because we are able to explore the space, and the young children is also try to challenge that. And then they are more into STEM education. So I think it will have a good impact on education as well.
All right, Professor Shin, thank you so much for joining us here in the studio early in the morning. We appreciate your insights and your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And also a huge thanks to our An Sung-jin. Thank you for covering it with us tonight, Sung-jin. We appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
That wraps up our special coverage of South Korea's fourth Nuri rocket launch. But we will be back with details on the mission at 10 a.m. Korea Standard Time. This has been Kim Dami. Thanks for watching.